Been sitting on this for a while now. And once I say it out loud, there's no more going back. I'm not living a normal life anymore. And I'll tell you exactly why. It all goes back to that day that I was sitting there at work by myself, you know, because of the bad weather that we had here. And I started thinking, you know, 10 years of this, sitting here and not being appreciative for making sure the business is open for anybody that wants to brave the bad roads, you know, no appreciation for it, you know. And then the other things started setting in. The daily grind, day in and day out, you know, work, eat, sleep, repeat. And that's when it set in. You know, going through all the daily motions just to say, hey, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing with my life from now on. No reward in the end. I had said some time ago that I wanted to retire at 55. Well, next week I will be 1 year from that age. 1 year. So in the grand scheme of things, if I'm lucky, I'll live another 20 years. You know, according to the age map here in the United States. And when I drive it, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do first? Well, I've told you guys in the other videos, I'm simplifying everything. I'm getting rid of shit that I don't need, that I bought on a whim because I thought it would be fun to have. You know, I've got a vehicle set up for overlanding that I did for 3 years, maybe 4. I've sold a lot of that equipment, but now, you know, it's still going out the door. I want to keep a little bit of it because I'd like to do a little bit more camping, but if I'm going to do this and do it the right way so I can retire at 55, then I'm going to have to really downsize. You know, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos out there, seeing some of you other guys and gals that are kind of facing the same thing that I'm facing. And one big thing with me is that I kind of like living vicariously through your life. I mean, some of you 48, 49, 50, you're doing it right, you know, whether that's you're either here in the States, you know, and you've got an ass ton of money, because we all know that's what it's going to take to retire here. If not, we're going to be working till the day they put us in the grave. But then there's those other guys and girls that are overseas, whether that's, you know, Mexico, Spain, Portugal, East Asia, West Asia countries, you know. And some of y'all, you got it made. You know, you wake up in the morning, your biggest decision is, what are you going to fix for dinner that night? You know, I want that, and I'm going to get that. You know, I'm a firm believer now that comfort is addicting. You know, just think about it. You have your house or your apartment or where it is you may be living, and you're comfortable. You're comfortable with the way things are. You tell yourself, well, that's just the way it's going to be. That's just the way it is. No, because you know what? You can change it. I can change, you know, my comfort. You know, it doesn't have to be addictive. I want to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. so that I can be uncomfortable, so I can be successful at this journey. Most people won't actually, or don't change when they're doing this. They just make little changes so it makes them feel a little uncomfortable. I'm telling you, I'm changing everything. I haven't decided exactly yet what I'm doing. I'm still investigating the longer road of it, what's going to happen. But I'm glad that you guys have jumped on board for the journey. I'm hoping that maybe some of you that are on board and that have subscribed or that are watching this video, you are feeling the same way. You know, society today rewards safe, not, what's the word I'm looking for, fulfilled. They will reward you for being safe. They want you to be safe. They don't want you to be fulfilled. Well, you've got to be fulfilled in your life to be happy. It's one thing to be safe, but it's another thing to be actually happy. And I guess like most of us, time is slipping by. You know, and I don't want to waste any more time. I mean, are you wasting time? You know, sometimes you just got to pull the trigger and send it. And that's what I've done. I've pulled the trigger and sent it. You know, riding on this proverbial bullet into the future to see where it takes me. You know, building something new, I kind of did that when I retired from the Navy. I came out and I built this pseudo career in the civilian world, and I was able to, you know, get comfortable and was able to settle down, so to speak. You know, have my regular 6 to 2:30 job, and you know, go in the morning, get off middle afternoon, go home and mow the yard. You know, not anymore. Not anymore. If I want to hop on a plane and go to, God, I don't know, Bali, Indonesia, I'm gonna do it. You know, I don't want to be like, well, shit, I've only got, you know, $300 left in my bank account. Payday's 5 days away. Gas is $4.09 a gallon. You know, I've got chicken strips, fish sticks, and a bag of cauliflower in the freezer. You know, it's just the way it is sometimes, and that's why I just said, the hell with this. I'm changing it, and I'm moving forward with it. I'm cutting out all my bullshit routines. I've changed things up. Now I do a lot of research into people that change their lives just like you guys are. There are other channels out there just like mine that were, you know, men and women both are choosing to change their life around. You know, whether they're married or not, got kids or not, got, you know, elderly family members or not. You know, sometimes we just got to take that jump. And then when you do take that jump, I guess you got to start thinking long term. You know, you got to make sure that you've got yourself set up for success. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that in some way, shape, or form. You know, I'm not the brightest guy out here, the sharpest tool in the shed by any means, and I definitely don't have all the answers. But what I do know is that I'm not going to you know, live this stupid life anymore. I mean, if you think about it, and I was thinking about this the other night. Most of us went to 12 years of school, right? What did we learn? I mean, did you seriously sit and think about it? What did you learn? History? You know, math. Yeah, you need math to function in society. Can't count your money, you're in trouble. Algebra? I've never used algebra a day in my life. You know, some of you have. I haven't. Now I will say this, typing class set me up to be able to type on a keyboard for a computer. So I guess that's something. It taught me something there. But you know, the biggest thing is it kind of conditions you. Going to school conditions you basically to go to work. If you think about it, you know, had to get up early, put your clothes, eat breakfast, put your clothes on, go out, get on the bus, ride a bus to a building, be there for 8.5 hours. They feed you. They tell you, don't speak unless you're spoken to. Raise your hand if you have a question. If you have to go to the bathroom, raise your hand. You know, they're conditioning us to follow direction, you know. And that with me was okay because I followed along. Hell, you know, you guys know from my previous videos, I retired from the Navy, you know. But the thing about being in the military, each day is different. It's more different than it is here in the civilian world. And you know, and there's case in points and arguments to be made there, but you have to be able to, you know, have some fun, you know. Like this weekend, I had some fun, you know. Came home yesterday and was right back in it, you know. But with the way I'm thinking about things, I know now that I'm not going to be in it for that much longer. And I'm glad a lot of you have joined in for it. So, you know, I told you a little bit what I'm doing differently. When I say I cut out a lot of dumb shit and I've stopped spending my money on stupid shit and really squirreling away money as quickly as I can. You know, how many of you got a cabinet full of spices? I know I do. How many of them spices aren't open? I could probably pull 8 or 10 of those little jars out of my cabinet that haven't been opened. You know, so, you know, I'm not selling them. You know, they're just there. But that's just, you know, something to think about, you know. And anything that I'm not using anymore or that I'm not going to use, it's going to be gone. Other things that I've changed, you know, what do you say, how you say it? I have put my operations manager in charge of more things, and the assistant manager in charge of more things. You know, I was working, you know, almost 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. Well, put the schedule out. I'm off on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now, taking time for myself. You know, why? Because I need it, but also because this is the part of the change. You know, I'm building something so it will be so much bigger for myself and personally than it would be for, you know, my family. You know, like I said, I'm working towards something bigger for myself. And I want to take you guys along with me on the journey, get your input, your opinion on exactly what you're thinking and what you think my decisions are going to be. Thank you to those guys and gals who have subscribed to the channel, posted likes, and left comments. I try to get to all of them as quickly as possible. I really appreciate that. Those of you that haven't, please consider subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell for notification, and giving the video a like, because we all know that YouTube algorithm is a bear to get through. And I just want to get through it to find like-minded people like myself, to find out why we didn't think about this sooner. Or if they're younger than me, how did you think about it sooner? So if you would, jump on board with me so that we can do this together. You know, I really appreciate each and every one of you that have joined the channel so far. And I hope you're not going to be disappointed when I finally figure out solidly what I'm going to be doing and where I'm going to be going, if I'm going to go anywhere. But I really appreciate each and every one of you. And I want you to know that all the comments mean a lot to me. And I really appreciate your support. So jump on this journey with me so we can do it together. I'm Chief Uncharted. Let's do it.